In the last lecture, we integrated our Flutter application with iOS platform. And as you experience, we had to do a bit of a work to get it right. But it's working. We have ran it on our iOS simulator and there are no more issues. But if we try to run the same exact application on Android, what's going to happen? So without changing any single line of the code, we're going to go and start debugging. And this time we're going to select Start Pixel 3, which is the Android debugger. So Android simulator. So let's go ahead and run this as it is without making any change. And we're going to see that if it runs or does it require any changes. Now, since it's the first time we're running it on an Android emulator, it is going to take a bit of time. And if there are any errors, we should be able to see all the errors right here in the console. So you can see right now, it's trying to launch the main ... which is our starting point of our application, and it actually failed. So let's go ahead and see what's going on. We see a lot of different errors. All right. So in order to integrate with Android, we also have to perform a bit of work. So let's go ahead and get started. Now, the first thing you need to do is to change the minimum SDK version to 21 from 16. So let's go and jump into Android folder. So here is the Android folder. Let's open this up. In the Android folder, you will find the app folder right there. And in the app folder, you'll find build.gradle, which is right here. So let's go ahead and open this up. And if you scroll down, what we're looking for is the default config section. So right over here is a default config section. And we are looking for this one. And it is minimum SDK version is set to 16. So we're going to change that. And we are going to go ahead and say 21. That's the first thing you need to do. Make sure that you do that. Very important. Okay. So this is great. We have changed this version from 16 to 21. And the reason is that the Cloud Firestore has a dependency on the 21 version. So it's always a good idea to make sure that your dependencies are working correctly. Now, the next step would be to make sure that our Android app is registered on the Firebase platform. And if you remember, when we were registering our iOS application, we needed the bundle ID. So in this case, we also need a bundle ID. In order to get the bundle ID, we're going to go to the Android folder where we were. Then I'm going to go to the app folder, then the source folder, main folder, and then open up Android manifest. Now you can see right over here on the top, that's the name of the package, and that is our bundle ID. And we're going to use the same exact bundle ID. So I'm just going to copy it, copy. And now I have to go ahead and jump onto the Firebase console and then make sure that I registered this particular bundle ID as the bundle ID or as the ID for my Android project on Firebase. So let's go ahead and move on to you can see over here we are on the Firebase console. We have already registered the iOS app, so that part is done. That's great. What we're trying to do is to register an Android app. So it will be a new app. So let's go ahead and click on Add App and then Android. And here we go. It's actually asking for the package name. We copy paste some package name. Always a good idea to copy paste the package name instead of typing it out because you can type wrong. So that's why I copy pasted it. You can provide some sort of a nickname. I'm just going to leave that blank and then register the app. Now, when you register the app, it is going to ask you that, hey, you need to download the Google services.json file. So make sure that we are downloading the Google Services JSON file. And you can see that we have to put it inside over here they're saying inside the source folder because this is more for an Android application, but we are building a Flutter application. So for our case, it will be inside the Android/app folder. But the first thing is that we need to download this. Okay, so it's downloading Google Services JSON file. Now, if we go back, the place where we want to put this file, I'll show you, is the Android folder and then the app folder. So right over here in the app folder, which contain build.gradle and gitignore and build.gradle and all that stuff, that is where we will have to put this file. So let's go ahead and see. So this one, app folder right here, that's where we want to put that file. It's very important. I'm going to go ahead and copy this file, jump onto the first screen, if it allows me. Here we go. And then try to put it inside the app folder. And make sure that the name is Google Services and not Google Services 2. The reason it is putting Google Services 2 is maybe I have another file in there. Don't worry about it. There we go. You should not have that case. There we go. Perfect. Okay. Now the next thing we want to do is in our IDE, we want to go to a file called Android folder. So we are inside the Android folder, app folder. So let's go to the app folder. And then over here, we should find build.gradle, and which is this one. And we have already edited this file with the minimum SDK version. But we want to do another thing also. Let's go ahead and scroll down right at the end. And over here, what we want to do is to add a plugin. And that plugin is going to allow us to read the Google Services file. So there we go, apply plugin. Okay. Now let's go to the Android folder. So we are back on the Android folder. And in the Android folder, not inside the app folder, but in the Android folder, you will find build.gradle, which is right here. Let's go ahead and open this up. Now, inside over here, you're going to find a build script tag or the build script section. And just by looking at it, you can already see the build script section because it's right in front of you, right there. And what we want to do is we want to add a dependency. Now, this dependency will be on the Google services with a special number. So I'm just going to go over here in the dependency section and add one line. Class path, Google, GMS, Google Services 4.3.3. Okay. This is good. We got everything now. Let's go ahead and try to run this and see if it even compiles and builds our Android application. I'm going to go to run and I'm going to say start debugging. Well, make sure that you are selecting some sort of a Dart file. So here's our main.dart. And let's try to debug. So after making all these changes, we're trying to run it again so that we can see that if it is running correctly or not. If it does run correctly, we should be able to see our counter application. And if it doesn't, then we won't. But we can see it. There we go. So after making all of those changes, it is no longer giving any issues. And it looks like our Android app is also integrated with Firebase platform. Now, obviously, we're not really using the Firebase platform, and we have our kind of like a hello world kind of an app, a counter app, which doesn't really make sense for us. But don't worry, in this section, we have integrated our application, our Flutter application with Firebase and our Flutter Android application with Firebase, which is really, really cool because now everything is set up and now we can go ahead and build our to-do list application.